live. We're all set. Beautiful. Fantastic. Hey everyone, welcome in. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome in. This is the Ironmanmike show, and I'm Mike Urueta. Welcome in. Okay, Google off. Fantastic. Hey, we're so excited to have you here today. I have a special treat. We have a Korean War combat veteran in the house today. I have Norman Fowler, Corporal, United States Army. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So real quick, just to give you the backstory, Norman and I met at a place in Mooresville called Richard's Coffee Shop. And that has been a staple place for veterans alike, and a lot of supporters and a lot of different organizations who rally around helping and supporting our veterans. So first of all, I'd like to say it was a pleasure meeting you. Before we get into his story, a little tidbit I want to share with you. Just want to say first, I want to do a shout out to Richard's Coffee Shop. If you ever are in Mooresville, North Carolina, make sure you go to Richard's Coffee Shop. It's it's downtown off of Main Street, and man, they have a great museum there, so you definitely got to check out the museum. It is a absolutely must bucket list stop, and if you're generous enough and in a position, please donate directly to them. They use the donations to help veterans. They use it to help the museum that they have there. Artifacts from every conflict and war the United States of America has ever been in. It is a historical museum with all the artifacts that are there. So it's very cool to be there and to be part of it. I go there every Thursday, 8 a.m. to about noon. They have minutes meetings at 10:30, and they give a lot of great information. A lot of companies, a lot of organizations come to help support Richard's Coffee Shop. So, yeah, so Norman shared a story with me a little bit ago. Do you want to start off with your, actually, before we go off on your the story about the water, tell everyone a little background about you, like where are you from, and maybe why you joined the military.
Well, I'm from Upper Michigan.
Which part of Michigan?
Yeah.
What part of Michigan?
Upper Michigan.
Upper Michigan.
Up by the Straits.
Okay.
And it was, pretty cold up there. But I just decided at a certain time that I was drafted in the Air Force to the Army, and I went. And that's how I really started out.
Okay, so you went to high school in Upper Michigan?
Yes.
What was the town?
Midland.
Midland,
Yeah,
okay.
Midland High School.
I have my maternal grandmother. She is my mom's mom. She is from Mount Clemens, Michigan.
Okay.
And I've never been there, but I have relatives from there. I have relatives I've never met from there. That's a whole nother podcast, another story why.
Yes.
But yeah, and just real quick in a nutshell, my grandfather left, unfortunately, one time, and took 5 of his kids, my mom and uncles, and another aunt. They went to California.
Oh.
And that's how my family ended up in California, and that's where I was born.
Okay.
So yeah, but I have relatives in Michigan, and my daughter, coincidentally, I met a woman from Michigan. And we have a daughter together, and she is from Michigan, so that's my little connection with Michigan.
They've all scattered around the country, moved away.
Gotcha.
My father originally was from Missouri, so.
Gotcha. So, what made you decide to join the military?
Well,
Tell us that story.
it was just a case of, that in those days they had drafts. And
Right.
when you reached 18, everybody went into the draft. And it depended on whether they called your number or not, and mine got called. And so shortly after I was 18,
Wow.
I wound up going into the service. And I went from Michigan to, the first place was Camp Chaffee, Arkansas, for my first 8 weeks of basic training.
Okay.
And
Wow. Yeah, as being in high school, I can't imagine of, going through an era, of having the known fact that, oh my gosh, after high school, I'm going to end up getting drafted. Now, if I recall stories that I heard, if you were in college or you were going to go into college, or if you were the only son, you could not be drafted. Now, tell us how accurate that was. And
Well,
this is just hearsay from what I've heard over years.
yeah, that is accurate. Certain people could get deferred, they called it, and you wouldn't have to serve your country. Like you say, if you were only son, or if you were going to college, you would be deferred until after you got out of college. And then you would go back into the system again.
Right.
So, but I didn't plan on going to college. I didn't ask for deferment, so when it came, I went.
Nice.
So,
well, thank you very much for your service, and thank you for protecting our country back in the Korean conflict. So let's dive into that. So we met at Richard's coffee shop, and we started talking and became friends. And I've heard some really cool stories from Norman, and I thought he would. So I asked him if he'd want to come on the podcast, and he immediately said, "Yeah, that would be kind of neat." Never did one. So here we are today, on a whim, doing a podcast, and I'm just excited that you're here today. So I appreciate you being here very much.
Okay.
So thank you. So let's talk about, I know you told me a couple of stories. So let's start, I guess, when you got drafted. What happened from there?
well, I went to, like I say, we went to Camp Chaffee, Arkansas, and 4 days after I got there, I was going out in the morning to the drill field to do exercising, and I got some dust in my right eye, and I went on sick call for 3 straight days, and I was given cream to put in my eye and told just to go back to my barracks and lay down and do nothing for that 3 days. It didn't seem to help, and on the 4th day, our whole company went to the hospital for them to check our feet to see if anybody needed special shoes.
Arch support, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember getting that when I was in. Some of you that are just joining us, I also am a veteran, and I completely remember that.
Yeah. So the foot doctor looked at my eye and he wanted to know, he said, "So what's the matter with your eye?" And I told him that I had got dust in it, and that the salve that I had been getting didn't seem to help, and he sent me down with an assistant to the eye doctor, and he took one look at me and said, "You need to come be hospitalized." So he sent me back to my barracks to turn in my bedding and my rifle and everything, and then come back. So I wound up spending a little over 4 months in the hospital, taking treatments every day, heat treatments to dissolve the cornea that had developed in my right eye. And after that, then I went back to my barracks and started my basic training all over again. But I had already been in 4 months at that time.
Gotcha. So you were put on bed rest, and what was going through your head during that time?
Well, it was something that I learned very quickly, that everything that you do in life you think is normal. But I found out that I had to learn to walk, do everything all over again, because I couldn't see anything on the right side of my face. I could only see the left side.
So you couldn't see out your right eye?
No.
Oh, geez.
I had a black patch over my eye.
Okay.
And all they did was take it off just to check the eye every so often, because I was taking the heat treatments.
What ended, not to get into your personal life, but if you want to share, what ended up being the illness of, what was it called, that you had an infection of some sort in your eye?
I
What was?
developed a corneal ulcer
Oh, okay.
in the back of my eye. And it took 4 months of heat treatments every day to finally dissolve it enough that I was able to see. I remember the day that he took the patch off my eye, I actually, like as if I was blind, I jumped out of the chair. I can see, I can see. It wasn't that I couldn't see before, but I could only see out of one eye, and I realized once he took that patch off that I could see out of the second eye then.
Oh, nice.
So.
How is it today?
It's, I still have problems. I have to wear glasses, which I'm really the first one in my family to ever have to wear glasses.
Okay, and it's because of
so
that injury you ended up sustaining when you're
That's what I'm
young.
told by the people that know more than I do about eyesight and stuff.
Sure, optometrist, yep,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yes.
All right, so you were stationed on the East Coast, and what was the name of the fort?
Camp Chaffee, Arkansas.
Camp Chaffee, gotcha.
Yeah, it's no longer a camp anymore. Now it's called Fort Chaffee. But the hospital that was there then is no longer in existence.
Gotcha, and then how long were you there?
I was there, well, for probably about 6 months, a little over 6 months.
Okay, and how'd that work out for you?
How did one?
How'd that work out? How was the
All right,
training?
we had basic training.
Basic
First thing
training.
we used to do basic training after I got done with the hospital.
Okay,
Then I had to start my basic training. The only advantage was that by the time I started basic training, I was ahead of everybody else in my class because I was already a private E2 then,
right.
while I was in the hospital.
Okay,
So-
private E2, right on. So, I was told a story while he was in basic training. You had an opportunity to go to, going on a trip with a couple of your buddies. Tell us about your
It
trip.
wasn't in basic training. We had completed our basic training first week and the second week of basic training. My
Okay.
second, I was sent to where's the camp? Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
I went to take my second 8 weeks of basic training. And after that time, I was supposed to have been going to Spain. So I was sent to Fort Dix, New Jersey. That's where we would leave to go overseas from. And while I was there, 2 days before we were supposed to leave, they canceled our orders, and now we had to wait for new orders to be cut, to see where we were gonna go. And it just happened that during that time, it was New Year's Eve. And a couple buddies fellows that I had met while I was there, they were from the East Coast, they were from that area, and they said, come on, let's go to Manhattan for New Year's Eve. I wasn't interested in going to Manhattan, it didn't mean nothing to me. And, but they went to the bus station and they got me a ticket and they come back and says, come on, we're all going together, we do everything together.
Right.
So we
Oh,
went to,
that was nice of them.
yeah, so we went to Manhattan and we're walking down Broadway and we appeared, above us was a sign, a camel sign, used to be there. I understand it's no longer there.
Oh, the giant camel signs, I remember
Yes.
those.
Yes, and he used to blow smoke every once in a while, and I happened to see 3 girls walking ahead of us, and an older lady with the 3 girls, which I figured must be a mother of one of the 3.
Right.
And I turned to my buddies and I said, you see that lady in the middle there, that girl? That's who I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with. And everybody laughed. And, you know, yeah, you're gonna spend your life, you don't even know her name, but you're gonna spend your life with her. So I said, yeah, but I will. And I walked up behind her and got close enough that I reached out and I put my hands on her hips. And she turned around and smacked me in the face.
Oh, uh-oh.
And says, you know, what are you doing? I'm not that type of a girl. And I apologized, and as soldiers might appear to be, or young fellows, I made a stupid comment like, oh gee, somebody pushed me from behind and I was just trying to keep from falling. So she apologized then for hitting me, and we laughed about it, and we started talking.
Right, nice.
And we just continued talking. I asked the mother if she minded us talking to the ladies and told them, you know, we're waiting to go overseas. We're not going to be, we don't know anybody. And they said, no, as long as the girls are all right with it. And that's what we did. We walked with them the rest of the night. And I got her name and phone number, her address, and I asked her if I could come over the next day, which was a Sunday, and take her to the movies. And she said yes, and my buddy was gonna take her friend with us. So we double dated. And that night, she notified me that she was going in the hospital the next day, which was Monday. And she had a pulmonary cyst on her spine that had to be operated on.
Oh, wow.
So I told her I would come back the next day and come to the hospital with her.
And you just met this woman, this young girl?
Yes,
Wow.
I'd never seen her before. So, but I did go back the next day, and we talked during that day, and we had fun. And her parents, actually, I met them the day before, but they were at the hospital that day, and they invited me back to their house to stay. I told them rather than going all the way back, it would be easier for me if I was there. And they said, come and stay at our house. And I slept on the couch. And I stayed 3 days with her because I had to go back. On the fourth day, they told me I was going to have to be sent out to go overseas to Germany.
You must have really liked this woman.
I really did. I got to, just from talking, I realized that she was somebody that I was very interested in, and that I felt I would be very comfortable with.
Nice.
And I told her I was going overseas, but I had grown to like her, and I would like for her to wait until I come back. And she said, yes, I'd like you to. And so we wrote back and forth.
Right. Well, that's pretty amazing. I mean, you know, meeting a woman like that and instantly realizing this is the one that's amazing. And the fact that you know, she had an operation and that you even offered to be there for her. I mean, that's amazing. That's definitely the 1 in a million, or even a billion probably. So
well,
that's pretty awesome.
I'm a firm believer that there's somebody for everybody in this world.
Yeah.
My father was a Baptist preacher,
Mm-hmm.
so I was growing up, you know, properly. I should say I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, nothing like that. And I just believed that, I believed in God, and I believed that there was always somebody there for all of us. And I just knew that she, even though I was going with somebody before at my hometown, but I knew that this was the girl I wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
Gotcha.
In a short period of time.
All right. So we all want to hear. So what happened after the third or fourth day? I think you were on.
What's that?
Yeah. So what happened next?
Well, then I told her the night that when the third day was up and I had to go back to barracks to go overseas, I told her I would like for her to wait until I came back from overseas and we had a chance to know each other better. And she said, yes, you can write. I really got to like you too.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We wrote back and forth.
So before that though, so tell us the story about how did you get back to the hospital on Monday? Didn't you have to report back to training?
Well, no, because I had a 3-day pass. I had got a 3-day pass. And when I went back to the barracks after the first day, I told the first sergeant that I would like to get a 3-day pass because my fiance was in the hospital, was going in the hospital the next day. And
Fiance,
he
huh?
said to me, man, soldier, I wish I had $1 for every time. I've heard that story. But I told him, no, her name is Joan Candela and she's going to Memorial Hospital. And I guess he must have called because I didn't even get back to the barracks and they, over the loudspeaker, said for Private Fowler to come back to the ordering room. And when I went back, he says, okay, he says, your story is right. He says, I'm going to give you the 3-day pass, but you have to be back here because I got orders for you to chip out on the 4th day.
Right. Wow, that was nice that your commanding officer gave you a 3-day pass.
Yeah.
That was a little bit. So you said she told him he was your fiance. Did you share that story with her, and how'd that work out?
No, I didn't. No, he was the only one that heard that story.
Okay. Well, now all of us, years later.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay. So you. So I heard you say something about you guys agreed to write each other.
What's that now?
I heard you said that you guys were going to write each other.
Yes, we would write letters back and forth, and so I didn't always get her letters as quickly as she got mine. That's just the way the Army got. Whenever they finally got my letter and it go to different departments before I got it.
Right.
And
So how long were you guys writing letters? And I mean,
the first time
did
when
your
I went
relationship-
to Germany, I found out pretty quickly, I'd say probably about 3 or 4 months after I got into Germany, I found out that you could do certain things. If you got involved with certain things, it was easier to get back to the States. And I was dying to get back to the States to see more of this girl. So I joined a baseball team, 7th Army baseball team,
okay.
and we traveled all around, and then I wound up putting a letter in, asking her to get back stateside, and I got back to the States. So I was able to see her. This was after 8 months.
Okay.
And from there I was sent out to Fort Ord, California.
Fort Ord. Okay.
Yeah, you had said that you had done some training there.
Yes.
And but we had a chance to see each other for a short period of time, and everything was still seemed like it was going along great for us. And she said, yeah, all right, so we'll write until you get back closer to here. And she wrote me when I was in Fort Ord, California. But shortly, about 6 months after I got there, I called to let her know that I was safe in California. And she says, well, we had set a date for a year later to be married.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
so she says, do you really want to wait the whole year though? And I said, no. So we decided it was going to be 7 months later that I would come back. I'd get up at another leave and come back, and we got married. And then she came out to Fort Ord with me,
Gotcha.
California.
Where did you propose to her at? Was it a big?
At her house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
The day I got back from Germany, I went with her sister to Manhattan to the Diamond Exchange, and I bought her a engagement ring.
Okay.
And I come back and asked her to marry me, and she said yes.
Wow. So when you came back on a ship?
Yes.
Okay, and then her sister picked you up, you said?
Yes.
Okay, why didn't she come?
She was working.
Okay, so, I get it.
She had a regular job where she worked every day.
Okay, so I get it. So she picked you up. Her sister took you to a diamond jeweler store.
Yeah.
You guys picked up the ring and then went back to the house.
She was about 1.5 years older than me.
Okay.
So, yeah, she was working full time.
Gotcha. So you picked up the ring with her sister and then went back to the house and waited until she got off of work?
Yeah, when she come home, I took her car. When she took her car was there. So I waited until she came back to the house. And then I apologized. I proposed to her, and she said yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So,
what a great story that
yeah.
is. Hey, real quick, we're going to pause for station identification. We want to go ahead and recognize our sponsors. So today's sponsors are EH&S Planning. You see EH&S Planning above us here. Environmental health and safety and active shooter awareness, hostile event response, emergency management training. If you or your organization needs any environmental health and safety needs, policy, procedures, writing, any type of OSHA safety compliance standard trainings, reach out to ehsplanning.com. Okay, so I'm excited to hear this story. So you proposed to her, and then so what? After you proposed to her, I think I heard you say you ended up getting stationed at Fort Ord.
I was stationed in Fort Ord, yes, and I went out there, and that's when I called her, and we decided we didn't wanna wait a whole year for our wedding, so we moved it up to, it was only 7 months after I got there, I got another leave, and I went back to New York, and, we got married.
All right, and then did you pack her bags and bring her with you when you went back?
Yes, we drove back, and my parents had given me, not my parents, her father had gave us an old Buick that he had, and we drove across country.
Oh,
And
nice, that's a 4 or 5 day wait, it was
Yeah.
further. Would it take you a week to drive?
well, it took us, normally you can make the trip really in about 3 or 4 days if you really want to. But it wound up taking us a little better than a week.
Yeah.
We stayed a few nights in motels and stuff and spent some time really getting to know each other better.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
fantastic.
So, but we had a lot of good experiences, though, even driving. We had a safe trip with the exception of when we went through Iowa, that it was, we had a bad windstorm. And we wound up having the hood, we had a Buick, and it used to be, in those days, that type of Buick that we had, you could lift the hood from either side to work on it.
I know exactly
And
what that is.
it wound up coming off within the wind and flew over to the other side of the road, and I had to go stop, back up, and tie it down as best I could until I got to a place to have it put on right. And but that was the only problem we had until we got to California, and the first night, we get up the next morning, and I had a flat tire.
Oh, no.
So we came all the way across the state and never had a problem with the tires, but
Yeah,
the night after we stopped, I had a flat tire.
time to get new tires.
Yes,
All right, so, so let's see, you got married in 1955, right?
yes.
All right, and then, so why don't you let everyone know, how long were you married to this wonderful woman? And that's Joan.
60 years.
60 years, wow, that's a long time.
Yep. We had 3 children,
Okay.
and we really, I thought about it since my wife has passed, and
I'm sorry
I
for your
can
loss.
really, I cannot, for some reason, I just don't believe that we ever had an argument
Oh,
in
that's
60
good.
years. We had a great life together. I had nothing that I would say that I wanted to change at all.
Gotcha. Well, sounds like you had a wonderful wife, a wonderful 60 years of marriage.
We did,
And
we
I'm
really
so
did.
glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And she stuck by you.
Yes.
So I am sitting here with a Korean War combat veteran here. So let's dive into that. So you went to California, you're at Fort Ord, you've been doing training, you're learning how to be a combat. So what was your job? What did you do? What did you get trained for before you left to Korea?
I was put into combat engineer units.
Okay, combat
Yeah,
engineer. I'm familiar with that. I was a combat engineer. We talked about that.
Right.
And explosive ordnance, building rails, bridges, just
Yeah.
different things. Yeah.
But
And then learning how to blow it all up.
but shortly after, like I say, we were only married until January, and I got orders in January that I was going to be going overseas to Korea, and so I took her back to her parents' place, and I left then and went to Korea.
And so that was January 1955?
Jan.
Okay, January 1955, orders to Korea. Got it.
Yes.
All right. And then, so you said your goodbyes. Did you have any children yet, or?
No, but she was pregnant
Okay,
when I left to leave to go back over to Korea.
okay.
And so I reported to the company that I was supposed to go to, and the first sergeant said to me, well, have you done any anything like we do with building bridges and stuff? And I said, no. And I explained that I had had several different other jobs, but nothing like that. And then I was assigned to a unit that basically all we did was go out and clear landmines, fields with landmines in them. And if we knew there was a certain route that the enemy was gonna be taking, we would plant landmines in those fields.
So you were assigned to an EOD unit.
Yes.
Got it. Explosive Ordnance Demolition, in case anyone listening is wondering what that is.
Right.
Okay.
But, and that's what I did until I decided when my child was getting ready to be born, I took and put in for a transfer statewide. Oh, I asked for a vacation first, a pass, and I had been told once I got to the States to, instead of asking my company for a transfer, I should write Washington personally to my congressman, my senator in Washington. And that's what I did, and sure enough, it came back within 30 days that I was being transferred back to the States.
Gotcha.
And I was transferred to a place right near Brooklyn, New York, which was Fort J, Governor's Island.
Okay. How long were you in Korea? From January
I was in there about,
1955?
yeah, I was probably 2 years. Not 2 years. I was there originally, the first time I was only there, let's see, for about 8 months.
8 months, right?
Yeah. And then after I went back and then the child was born, I found out that she was having problems with the baby. And that's when I applied for another pass to get back to the States, and I put in for a transfer then to statewide.
Okay.
And I was able to get it.
Gotcha. All right. And then I think I heard you say you went there a second time?
Yes, well, that was, let's see, it was only about 3 or 4 months after I got back in that I found out I was sent back to Korea finally. And when my 2 years, my time was up, I was told then that they had a shortage of my MOS and they reinstated me for another 2 years.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's why I spent 4 years in the service altogether.
Okay, 4 years, yeah. And then, so 1955 for 8 months, you're in Korea, and then you came stateside. You were there with were you there when your child was born?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I got there just the day that she was born.
All right.
So.
Was it still in 1955 when you ended up going back to Korea?
Yes,
Or
I
was
was
it
back there in
1956?
1957.
57 is when you went back?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then 1957. Tell us about that.
And, well, that's, like I say, that's when I went there, but I only had really about 7, 8 months before I was gonna be discharged, you know, for what I thought was my second time. And that's when I finally did get discharged then. I was.
Gotcha. Korea. And then how long were you in Korea the second time?
I think it was around 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
And did you do the same job when you were there?
Yeah.
Explosive ordnance?
We're back to the same type of thing.
Yeah.
Even though by that time, we really didn't have that much problem with landmines and stuff. Because the war had been officially, we had given back half of the country after we had originally taken it.
Right.
All, and go back to the 38th parallel. And so there really wasn't that much, there was no interaction between forces, our forces and the Korean forces.
Okay. All right. And then, you told me a story off air earlier about a buddy of yours who saved the life of some of his other comrades while they were in a foxhole. Do you want to share this?
Nah, I did. That wasn't me.
No, I know. You said your buddy did this.
Oh, Yeah, well, he was in a foxhole and they had a landmine, and a friend jumped into it, and they cover up
Right.
over the hand grenade.
Hand grenade, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
a hand grenade, and
So did it get thrown in by the enemy?
huh?
Did the hand grenade get thrown in by the enemy?
We figured that's where it came from. Yes,
Right.
there would be no reason for our own troops to do it.
Right.
So, but
So he jumped
He-
on the
he
hand
got-
grenade and he saved how many lives?
well, there was three of them in the same foxhole,
Okay.
so he saved the other two definitely,
Jeez.
and he wound up losing his legs,
Okay.
got dismembered. So
Did he pass or did he?
no,
You guys were able to save his life.
yeah, they were able to get him. We jumped in and got him as quickly as we could and got him out and got a helicopter there, and they took him to a makeshift hospital thing.
Right.
So, but
Well, that's a very heroic story, to say the least.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Do you keep in contact with any of your military
No.
veterans or friends from
No,
back in
no.
the day?
No, in fact, this Rich's coffee shop has been my one saving grace, where I really feel like I'm with I consider all of them buddies.
Right.
And
How long have
I
you been?
had been in other ones before. I had been in one that was where we just didn't have enough money to continue the place, and we had to let it go. And that's when I heard about Richard's coffee shop from another fellow in a restaurant one night. I was having dinner and I happened to hear him tell the waiter that breakfast was his most important meal, and it's always been my most important meal. So after the waiter left, I looked over to him. I said, "I heard what you said about your breakfast." I said, "It's mine too." And he come over and he happened to give me a bracelet, which I wear all the time on my arms, and it says Richard's Coffee Shop. And it also says about veterans, about welcome home veterans. And I never take it off. I tell everybody that is a veteran, they need to come and see this place. If only for once, come and take a look at this place.
Right.
And,
Richard's Coffee Shop is amazing.
Yes.
I'll tell you real quick how I found it. So I moved here in September of 2022, and my parents decided to come for a visit and look at my new house, and my mom helped me with some cool little decorations and so forth. And we were downtown Mooresville, just checking out it was in the evening, and we were just checking out downtown Mooresville, and my dad looked across the street and saw something in the window and saw the flags and stuff out front. And he said, "Hey, Mike, look at that." And so we walked across the street and went and looked at it. And sure enough, we're looking through the windows. I saw the uniforms, and then he's on the left side of it, the door. He used to be a veteran. He's a veteran also.
Okay.
Plus, after he got out of the military, he became a firefighter. So he saw the 9/11 memorial they have in the window there, which is amazing. If you ever come to downtown Mooresville, North Carolina, you got to check out the memorial. The memorial for 9/11. They have actual material from 9/11 here at Richard's Coffee Shop. But yeah, so he jiggled the door and the door opened. It was late at night, so we saw some people. He saw some people in there. So usually Richard's Coffee Shop is not open late at night. It was like 6 or 7 p.m. Apparently they had just finished an event that another organization was utilizing their space, and the curator was there, and the gentleman that speaks, what is his name?
What's that?
What's the gentleman's name that has the daughter there?
Oh, Gary.
Gary, yeah. So
Yeah.
Gary was there. Gary ended up giving my family and I a tour like 30 minutes solid. He just walked us around and he told us about each room. He talked to us and showed us all the conflicts. They have different rooms for the Korean War, Vietnam veterans, World War One, World War Two, Desert Storm, and just different eras of different combats, and the whole area is sectioned off for only that conflict. And it was amazing. I was hooked. He said, "Come back, and then you guys can come in and ring the bell." And we didn't know what that meant, so we ended up coming. I think it was either a Saturday or a third. I think it was a Saturday, because I think it was
when
like
the band is there.
Yeah,
on Saturday.
yeah. So no, maybe it was a Thursday then.
Yeah,
Maybe it was a Thursday. Okay, I honestly can't remember if it was a Saturday or if it was a Sunday. It could have been a Saturday now that I think about it. At any rate, we went in, we signed the books, we both got our keychains, and
Yep.
we the bell rung for him, and then the bell rung for me. We
Yep.
both got announced separately, and man, it was such a great feeling. And I've been a member and I've been attending ever since. And I'm telling you, Richard's Coffee Shop, go online, they do so much for veterans. The camaraderie, men and women who have served, men and women who volunteer. We got some amazing volunteer staff. They have a little mini kitchen where they serve breakfast in the morning, and on Thursday mornings from 8 till noon. Definitely want to check it out every Thursday. And on Saturdays they do the same thing, but they have a group that shows up and they all play instruments, and that's really amazing.
Yeah.
But it's such a great brother and sisterhood of camaraderie, and just if you're a veteran and you feel misplaced, they will welcome you in, and this is definitely will and could be your home. In addition to that, there are other areas, surrounding areas, like for example, Richard Childress. And Richard Childress Racing, RCR, and they're in Welcome, North Carolina. It's about an hour drive from here.
Yeah.
And I got invited to his, and he also does a veterans group every 2 weeks, and that's pretty amazing. North Carolina in a whole, I've been to about 4 different groups, different areas that also hold groups for veterans. Here's my whole point. I love the fact that North Carolina, what I've been surrounded by so far, they welcome veterans, open arms, and they just love on you, they support you. A lot of organizations come and help you if you're in need for just about anything.
Well, not only that, most stores or most restaurants and stuff do give to veterans a break on their prices.
Military discount.
Yes, military discounts.
Absolutely. Yep. I've seen that. So
Yeah, we don't have, we lost our last World War II veteran probably about 4 months ago now.
oh,
And there's only, as far as I know, there's only 4 of us that are Korean veterans that are still left.
okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah.
How long have you been going to Richard?
I've been going there about 2 years now.
2 years?
Yeah.
And then where were you going prior to that?
And then, I was at the one that was strictly for Korean veterans
Okay.
at that time.
How long were you at that one?
That one I was about 6 years, probably 7 years.
Okay.
And we wound up, we got the city of Mid Hill to give us a piece of their property where they had a amusement park set up. And we built a veterans for Korean veterans. And we built the monuments and everything for people to come and say the story about Korean veterans
Wow.
in Mint Hill. So,
Okay.
but there's no place that I was ever at that was anything comparable to Richard's Coffee Shop.
Gotcha.
So,
what takeaways do you have from being part of the Korean War conflict? And by the way, I do appreciate you being a Korean War combat veteran.
thank you, I appreciate that. I was there for the conflict and afterwards, and I can't say it's a place I would go back to. There's just too many, I guess, memories from
Yeah.
what had took place there, what I saw there. I don't think I would be comfortable going back there again,
Gotcha.
so.
I know there's a lot of veterans who come back with mental health or PTSD,
Yeah,
and some of our veterans have received PTSD service dogs, emotional support animals help. So there's a whole slew of different organizations who help out. How have you been coping with that?
I have PTSD. I'm one of the troops fellows that came back from there that has PTSD. I take my medicine that I have to take for it.
Okay.
I'm able to live a pretty decent life, I would say, for myself. And but it's not something that I would recommend people going through.
Right.
But it's for me. I'm the type. I'm a fighter. I don't let nothing get me down. I have a pretty positive attitude most days, of every day, all the time.
Nice.
So
Okay.
that's it.
So you're married 60 years,
Yes.
and what'd you do to sustain that and keep that all together? That's amazing. A lot of people out there probably
I
are
think the
thinking
main
60
thing
years.
is we never, like I say, we made a pact that we were, number one, we would never ever go to bed mad at each other. We would take a truce until the next morning, but we never really, I can never remember us having an argument over anything.
That's good.
We seem to be very compatible. We both enjoyed primarily the same things. We wound up with 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and now I have 13 great-grandchildren, of which my wife knew 9 of them.
Right.
The 4 have been born since she passed.
Okay.
No, we had a great life together. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
All right.
And she's in a much, much better place than she was for her last 5 years on earth. Was not pleasant for her. And she got to the point where she didn't know our children. My daughter didn't want to accept it. And she told me one day, my wife was she was in the hospital. This was getting close to when she passed away. And she says, watch this. So she says to my wife, to her mother, Mom, you see that man at the bed, at the foot of the bed? That was me. She says, do you know who that man is? So my wife looked at me, she says, yeah. She says, you know who that man is? She says, yeah. Well, who is it? Well, he's the one that pays the bills. So I said, see, she knows me, and she may not have known my name, I don't know. Because by that time, she didn't know any of them. She
Right.
didn't know none of their names, nothing. But like I say, when she was passed, I took care of her last 5 years. I quit my job, and I took care of her. So.
You've been retired
Yeah.
for a while. I think you told me 1983?
Well, my first job, yes, I was from Southern Bell. I retired in 1983.
83. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but then I started a couple of jobs on my own. I started my own businesses, two businesses. Window treatments first, and then with my wife and I got into the balloon business, doing balloons for weddings and bar mitzvahs and anniversaries and birthday parties and stuff like that.
Nice.
And that was a good job. We liked that job.
Sounds like a fun job.
It
Everyone's
is, it
happy
was.
getting balloons.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to shift gears for a minute real quick. So I know a lot of people struggle with weight loss and staying in shape. And some of you know who I am. I'm Ironmanmike. I do fitness, Spartan races, Ironman races, and I do a lot of training and a lot of workout videos. I'm on social media. I'm on Clapper. I'm Blue Check certified. I think I'm up to 76.6 thousand followers. And got a lot of videos on there, different things. I'm on TikTok as Ironmanmike and Clapper, Ironmanmike. And on Facebook and Instagram, I'm also Mike Urueta. So a lot of people have asked me about losing weight, and the first time you and I actually had a long conversation, you told me that you were 387 pounds.
387 pounds at one point,
Yeah.
and I was a 48-inch waist.
And what you're thinking right now is what I was thinking. How did you lose that weight? Look at this man. He does not look like he's 387 pounds. So before I even had a chance to ask him, because I was about to ask him, what did you tell me? Hey, you want to know how I lost it?
I started checking diets. My clothes to 48s were tight on my waist, and I was going to have to go up to a 50, and I said, no, I'm going to do something about it. So I started checking diets, but every diet that I checked, there was something about that diet that I didn't like. And I said, but I did notice that every diet, I don't care what type it is, they wanted you to drink 64 ounces of water a day. So I took and started checking. I went on my line on my computer, and I says, I want to see what water does for the body. And I found out that water breaks the fat content down in your body and flushes it out.
Yeah.
I says, all right, why do I need the diet then? I'll just drink more water. So I started drinking 64 ounces of water, and I started losing weight. So I said, oh, it's working. But then I hit a spell where I didn't lose any weight for a while. So I got to the point that if I didn't lose for 3 straight days, I would add 10 more ounces of water.
Oh, interesting.
And I got to the point where at the very end, before I got to where I thought I wanted to be, I was drinking 150 ounces every day of water.
Some people say that could be dangerous depending on your body size. Some people have died from drinking too much water poisoning.
I've heard some stories, but as far as my own self personally, I found out that my body got used to what I was drinking, and I really didn't go to the bathroom any more than I normally would go. And when I finally got down, I got down to a point I didn't want to lose too much and get too thin. So, but I set a goal of myself, if I got down to 100, between 185 and 195, I was happy with that. And that's what I did. Once I got down to that goal, I just drank it to what I need every day, and I still drink at least 64 ounces every day.
About this size here?
Yeah, it's normally 64 ounces because I have a cup holder that's 35 ounces. And I do 2 of those a day. I know I've got at least my 64 ounces in.
Gotcha.
And I've been keeping it now for about, I'll say probably a year and a half, 2 years now, that I've been staying right between that 185 and 195 weight.
So what's the
I'm down to a 36-inch waist.
Nice, congrats. So
Yeah.
what's your total amount of weight you've lost so far?
Well, from 387 down to 180, it's about 200 pounds.
Nice. 100 pounds. So if you're struggling, I would up the ante on your water, but consult with your safety professional, your doctor.
Yes.
You want to make sure that you don't drink too much water because his body mass and height and weight compared to yours could be significantly different. So the amount he drinks not necessarily is the amount you want to drink. So me personally, I drink one of these every day, one full bottle. And I think this is it's not quite a gallon. I don't even know how many ounces this is, but
It should tell you on there somewhere.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I haven't seen it yet though. But I have, so I've been drinking this, and I want to let you know that I'm noticing a little bit of a change, and I just learned of this last Thursday. So I've been doing this for a week myself personally. I've only missed it one day, but then I caught it up the next day. So, and this is my water jug for today. And I already had some water earlier, and I refilled this up just to demonstrate in this podcast here. But so I'll be drinking a little bit more than one of these today personally. But if you're looking and if you're struggling, I'll go ahead and put this in the description of the podcast. And speaking of the podcast, this is the Ironmanmike show, and I'm Mike Urueta. So please follow and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and I greatly appreciate it. And I'll go ahead and leave a Venmo if you'd like to donate to the station to help continue to create awesome podcasts like this one. I would appreciate it. And we have some merch coming. If you'd like to get an Ironmanmike tumbler, we have those coming. We should have those by next week, within 2 weeks, by next month for sure. And I'll have a sample, and I'll be able to share that with you on mikeurueta.com website, but it's not up yet, so don't look. So, man, this is fantastic. Well, and you're sustaining your weight then too, right?
Oh, yes.
How about your eating and or working out? Do you
I
do
pretty much eat the same things I ate before the food. I don't eat as much of it, but pretty much the same foods.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't change my diet as far as what I eat. It's just I just cut down on the amount that I was eating.
So nutrition professionals and professional athletic trainers and weight trainers will tell you that there's a balance. So if you are putting 2,100 calories in your body, you need to be burning 2,100 plus to lose weight. Mm-hmm. To maintain it, you need to burn the same amount of calories you're putting in, and you'll stay the same. If you eat more calories than you're burning, you're going to slowly gain weight.
Okay.
So if you eat less calories and you burn more calories, then you'll slowly start losing more weight as time goes by. So in addition to that, that's what I'm doing, and plus the water. So my goal is to not lose a ton of weight. I have a little bit of a dad bod going on, but mainly it's kind of like I'm trying to maintain, lose a little bit, mm-hmm. but turn the soft part into muscle. That's what I'm currently doing.
Okay.
And I've been helping with some people with that. So depending on what you're looking to do, and if you need some help, feel free to reach out, send me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow my Instagram channel. I've got a Facebook page. I've got a Clapper. Clapper is a new app. Definitely check out Clapper. And of course, I have a TikTok page as well. I'll go ahead and put all the links on the description of this video podcast here. And you don't have social media, so you don't have anybody that if they wanted to reach out to you, you don't have any social media, whatever. If anybody wants to reach out to Mr. Fowler here, please reach out to me, and I'll make sure I can pass a message on to him. And I know there's a couple of guys at the Richard's Coffee Shop that are writing books. Have you ever thought about maybe becoming an author and putting your story down?
I've been told that over the years a lot. And when I tell my story about my wife and I especially.
Oh, that story alone.
You should definitely get a producer and make that into a movie. But I'm not interested in making money on what. Right. You know what my life was. It's just I know what we had, and it's even if it just stays with me, I'm happy with that.
Right. Well, I don't think it's necessarily a means of just making money, more than you getting your story out there to help other young couples struggling to stay married, and where you could help other couples with that, and also young men and women who have or about to join the military, or maybe have joined, and maybe just reading about your story would be pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, I've never been interested, but when you told me today, wanted to know if I would do a podcast, I figured, okay, I'll try this and see how this goes. Who knows what the future is going to bring.
So I had Ralph Dagenhart, who is a author, also from Richard's Coffee Shop, Pop Smoke, and I'll just do a quick plug for him here. He actually did a podcast with me, I think a week and a half ago. But yeah, I think it'd be cool if you could also There's 3 guys at Richard's Coffee Shop that have written books now.
I have a couple of them.
Yeah, John is actually,
Yeah.
John's gonna be coming on the podcast as well.
Okay.
And I'm just excited. I think he'd be a key person to help you create just a simple book like this. Did you get Ralph's book?
I didn't see that one, no.
Here, you wanna check a look at it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a cool little book. I've read it. It's an amazing story that he shared, and it's basically just his memoirs. Just like you could probably sit down and just create your memoirs, and it's basically just his story, his version of when he was in Vietnam.
Okay.
So, and you know the fact that there's only 4 Korean veterans left at Richard's Coffee Shop, I think it'd be fantastic if you could create one. And I wasn't here, and I'm not trying to give you a plug to, I wasn't trying to plan this, it just popped into my head right now, but I think it'd be kind of neat to have you create a book, and they can help you get it published and everything.
All right, we'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, yeah, did you have any final closing statements that you want to share?
No, just it was a pleasure sitting talking with you.
Yeah, likewise.
And telling you my story, and
yeah,
that's pretty much what I do.
yeah.
I don't. I've never done nothing as far as writing books or I never did anything like this before.
Well, I appreciate you
So-
even coming on here and brave enough to share your story.
Yeah.
So, hey everyone, Korean combat war veteran. We've got Norman Fowler here, and any of you that have any questions, or if you want to share your story as well, if you also want to come on the Ironmanmike show and share your story, please reach out to me. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when the next podcast will be coming up and airing. So we're doing a live recording right now on YouTube, on Facebook, and we're also on Zoom, and I'm also doing a recording. So we'll upload these later on. So try to get up on Spotify, and I have an account on Podbean. So anyway, hey, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And once again, I'm Mike Urueta, and this is the Ironmanmike Show. You guys have a great day. Thanks again for following.
Bye bye.